in the District Court of Oklahoma County, State of Oklahoma, the State of Oklahoma versus Daniel K. Holtzclaw. Verdict, count 1, sexual battery. We, the jury, impaneled and sworn in the above entitled cause, do upon our oaths find as follows. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and set punishment at 8 years. Count 5, guilty, punishment is set at 5 years. Count 8, guilty, punishment is set at 20 years. Count 10, guilty, punishment is set at 16 years. Count 11, guilty, punishment is set at 30 years. Count 13, guilty, punishment is set at 8 years. Count 14, guilty, punishment is set at 8 years. Count 15, guilty, punishment is set at 5 years. Count 16, guilty, punishment is set at 16 years. Count 27, guilty, punishment is set at 16 years. Count 28, guilty, punishment is set at 30 years. Count 29, guilty, punishment is set at 30 years. Count 30, guilty, punishment is set at 8 years. Count 31, guilty, punishment is set at 12 years. Count 32, guilty, punishment is set at 30 years. Count 33, guilty, punishment is set at 8 years. Count 34, guilty, punishment is set at 8 years. Is this your verdict, so say you all? Yes, sir. All right, well, this will conclude the case of the State of Oklahoma versus Daniel K. Holtzclaw. The court is in recess.
And with that, many people thought they knew everything they needed to know about the allegations, investigation, and conviction of former Oklahoma City police officer Daniel Holtzclaw. But what if I told you you have never been told the entire truth about this case? My name is Brian Bates. I'm a licensed private investigator, and I was a member of Daniel Holtzclaw's original criminal defense team.
Officer Daniel Holtzclaw, with the police department for 3 years, is accused of raping and sexually assaulting women he pulled over while on the job.
He said, come on, just a minute. I said, sir, I can't do this. I said, you're going to shoot.
Your description of him.
He's black.
He's black male.
What did your daughter tell you? She said, I met this really hot cop.
So this is good evidence?
Well, you tell me.
Is this good evidence? That's exactly the question I hope to answer in the coming weeks. Did Daniel Holtzclaw systematically prey upon the most vulnerable women within the community he had sworn to protect and serve? Or is Daniel Holtzclaw a scapegoat for all manner of political correctness and investigative incompetence? When I was first hired to help Daniel Holtzclaw's defense team prepare for trial, I was convinced I was working for yet another guilty client. And I didn't keep that opinion secret from Daniel. He had this routine. Every time we would meet, he would ask me if I thought he was guilty. And each time, I'd look him in the eye and I'd say yes. Yes, Daniel, I think you did something. I just haven't figured out what it is yet. But each yes came with the caveat that I couldn't find a smoking gun. In fact, I couldn't even find compelling evidence of guilt of a single allegation. Originally, I felt Daniel Holtzclaw was guilty for the very reason so many others have felt he is guilty now. How could 13 women all point the finger at one man and he not be guilty of at least some of their allegations? But as I began to examine all of the discovery evidence, a more perplexing question arose. How could Daniel Holtzclaw commit 36 violent crimes against 13 women at 17 crime scenes and not leave a single piece of direct forensic evidence and not be observed by a single independent eyewitness? I was either dealing with a criminal mastermind or the unluckiest cop I'd ever met. It wasn't until I had read, watched, and listened to every piece of evidence that I could finally tell Daniel that I truly believed he is innocent. With that said, I'm not saying he is without some level of culpability. Over the next several weeks, even months, I will be telling the story of the allegations, investigation, and conviction of former Oklahoma City police officer Daniel Holtzclaw. While I may be biased in my opinion, I will be 100% transparent in my telling of Daniel's story. I will also be releasing every piece of discovery evidence in my possession related to this case. I will not trumpet reasonable doubt while concealing reasonable guilt. I invite you to take this journey with me and decide for yourself, is this good evidence? And when it is all said and done, was justice served or was justice denied?